Hi YouTube, and welcome to update 2 of my Harbour scene diorama. So, let's go straight into it, and as you can see on this big side, which last time we just had this triangle for, I've made up the other piece, and I've made the rails. Basically this was just done by measuring out 3mm, which is exactly what T-gauge is, because if you remember this is in 1/450 scale, which is T-gauge. The rails are 3mm apart. So I measured out 3mm, drew some lines, and then cut along them. I then glued it back together with a piece on the bottom. There's also sellotape on there to reinforce that. But slightly further apart, so that creates some nice little gaps. Obviously we have one track down here, one track down here, and then we go around the corner. Doesn't look too brilliant at the moment with this join, but I will fix that in the future with some sort of filler. But obviously it was sort of impossible to try and make all of that in one piece of card because it's such a sort of awkward shape. So then we have these cut in it now. These aren't finished. These need to have more, that needs to be widened because obviously these don't go all the way along. I can't use the same technique. So I've cut that with scissors, and then I'm going to have to cut along a tiny bit over, about 1mm across on that line to create a tiny gap, which will be the tracks for the crane, the dockman's crane. And then that will look like it, that will give it a sort of idea, because if it stops there it obviously must then go along for a long way in that direction, and I've just knocked that off. So it gives it a sense of sort of reality, if you get what I mean. So under the top we now have foundations. So these are quite basic but quite important. If I just move the boat out the way, I'm going to take this tape up soon, but obviously now this is all glued in place, it won't move. Well, I hope it won't move, but it's just card cut to the right size and then glued in a sort of zigzag pattern, and that holds the thing up when it sits on top like that. To stop it sort of sagging in the middle or anything, because otherwise the front, which I haven't made yet, but there will be a front hanging down to make the front part of the key coming down, that would be taking all of the weight of anything that I put on top there, such as the crane. So it's all happening on this side. On this side, not so much, but obviously we have the foundations in a much smaller kind of way. Not much else has happened apart from the first side has gone on. So this is the side of the key. If you're wondering why that sort of stops there, it's so it can, if I turn this round, it sort of goes like that, so it's on top of the plastic and there's something to glue onto, if you can see that, if you get what I mean there. The steps broke off because if you remember in the last time they were glued on, but I will glue them back on at some point, and they'll sit there, and then obviously we'll have the lifeboat there, just like in the last time. I haven't got a boat to be going the other way as of yet. The other boat that I had here was too big, if you remember. It's still here. I don't know if I showed you this one last time, but this is another boat that I was trying. Bit too big again. Also it's military and I didn't really want to go something that big. But there you go. So it's coming along. I think I've decided I will probably use realistic water for this now, and then use water effects to get this spray of the boat going past or something, or the wash, not the spray. That seems like the best plan to go forward, because obviously cutting plastic for that is again another awkward shape. So yeah, I've still got to make the sides for this, paint the bottom, paint the key, make the crane, so there's still a lot to do. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.